I was always the daredevil child, climbing up in trees, getting up on the roof, and my signature move, pedal my bike really fast, get up on the seat, surf for a little while, and when the bike starts to crash, jump off. There is only so much of an adrenaline rush that an 8-year-old can get, so naturally I had to move on to roller coasters. This is back in the 1970s, and you all remember those wooden roller coasters, right? The ones with the pieces of wood all crisscrossed, and when the car came around the track, the whole thing would sway. Those were exciting times, and it was my father's job to take me on the roller coasters. I remember the first roller coaster I ever rode. It was called the Zephyr, and it was at Pontchartrain Beach in New Orleans, where I grew up. I was always a tall kid, so when the cartoon character had a sign pointing waist high, and it said, "You must be this tall to ride this ride," I always was. One day I noticed that the cartoon character had a sign pointed chest high, and it said, "You must be this high to ride in the back car." I asked my father, "Why do you have to be taller to ride in the back car?" My father was 6'4". He leaned all the way down and said, "That's because the last car jumps the track." All right, yeah. Now, back in those days, we didn't have no sissified safety features. Nowadays, you have those things that come over, and you have everything to keep you safe. Back then, you had this little tiny bar that went around your lap, right? And you hope it just doesn't spring open. Yeah. So we don't have none of that steel ball bearing, smooth safety features that we have nowadays. Let's fast forward now to 2010. I was living in the United Kingdom, and I had some friends who were properly English. God plays jokes, and they give you the opposite child of what you want. If you're a Republican, God gives you a Democrat child. My parents are business people, and so they gave me the therapist who wants to talk about her emotions. My friends who are properly English got a daughter who watches The Simpsons and wants to go on roller coasters. My friends asked me, "Would you take her on some roller coasters and get this out of her system?" Before my niece and nephew were born, I had a serious aversion to children. My belief about children is my same belief about dogs. I like them when they're quiet, on a leash, under the control of their owner, which they so seldom are. However, riding roller coasters is an important part of a childhood experience. And I really couldn't let this child not experience those things. And so I agreed to take her and teach her the ways of my people. We went to an amusement park right in the middle of the country of England, straight in the center, and it took us 2 hours on a train to get there. It's little Stephanie, 13 years old, and she was very 13 years old. There were 7 roller coasters in this amusement park, and I told Stephanie, "We are here to ride roller coasters. We're not going on any of the other rides." There was one roller coaster called 13, and Stephanie wanted to ride 13 times. That's because her best friend Jennifer had ridden 13 times, and Stephanie was 13, so you see the logic behind this. I told her we were not riding 13 times, we were riding all of the roller coasters one time. When I agreed to take Stephanie, I did not know I was taking 250 of her best friends via social media. Everything we did got posted on Facebook. If I was reading a park map, I would look over. Those kids are so fast. They can post on Facebook. You'd read a park map, and she's posting. We're in the bathroom, she's posting. Every time we would stop, she would post on Facebook. So when I told her we were not riding 13 times, that was a post on Facebook. I began to give Stephanie the basic rules of riding roller coasters, and this might come in handy for some of you. Rule number 1, secure your belongings, people. Do you ever look underneath the roller coasters and you see hats and sunglasses? Amateurs, please. Rule number 2, no screaming in my ear. These 13-year-old girls, you know what I'm talking about? What, do they practice this screeching noise that they make? So we had to go over these 2 things. After that, I began to show her how on the roller coaster there are cameras in specific locations. And I was teaching Stephanie to look for the cameras because then you want to make creative shots. First, I taught her the beginning one, which is the traditional, hands in the air, right? Everyone knows this. After Stephanie got the hang of that one, I showed her the point and click. Okay? Smile and click. Stephanie was starting to get the hang of this, and she made up her own position to smile on the camera, which was what I call the English mother heartbreaker. 2 fingers in your mouth, eyes crossed, and your tongue hanging out. And we did not buy that picture at the end of the roller coaster ride. I was showing her how there are all these different types of roller coasters. There are inversions that flip you upside down. There are roller coasters meant for speed. There is 13, which, spoiler alert, had a surprise ending. There are roller coasters where you hang from the top. And we were going on each of these because the park had lots of different varieties of roller coasters. While we were walking through the park, I stopped to ask a park employee directions, and he was surprised that an American woman was so far into the country of England. We were off the beaten path, and he gave me 2 VIP passes. These VIP passes are like gold because they allow you to skip ahead of the long lines. I told Stephanie we have to ride in the first car for every single ride because the first car is the scariest on modern roller coasters, right? Because you're looking down the front of the track. So it allows us to skip to the head of the line, and that allowed us to get to all the roller coasters without having to wait in line. Stephanie says, flirting. And I said, what? She says, you were flirting with that guy. That's why you got those passes. And I said, Stephanie, I was not flirting. I was talking. People can talk without it being flirting. And she insists that's why he gave me the passes. For the next 30 minutes, I have to listen to flirting. And of course, that gets posted on Facebook as well. This kid is getting on my nerves. And I'm beginning to think of ways to leave her at the lost and found. When we are finally getting to the last roller coaster, it is the big one. It's called the Obliviator. It is 10 stories high. When you stand at ground level, it goes from 10 stories high to ground level into a pit. And there's all this mist coming out of the pit. So you cannot look into the pit and see where it's going. You are at an 80-degree incline so that when it tips you forward, your feet is at the same level as your head. You are facing straight down. I look up at the Obliviator and I say, whoa. Stephanie, we really need to catch our train, and let's go ahead. And she says, oh no. You said we have to do every single roller coaster. No, we're not skipping this one. Oh, no, Stephanie, I think, no, you said, come on. So she starts pulling me into the line. There's a longest line is for the first car, of course. And I said, the long line is for the first one. Why don't we get in the middle? Oh, no. You said we have to get in the first car every time. Oh. I'm standing on the platform waiting to get onto the car, the first one. And all I could think about is, I finally paid off my student loans, and I'm about to die on a roller coaster in England. I look over and Stephanie is taking my picture in order to post it on Facebook, and I only have one thing to think, which is, I hate children. I really do. Obviously, I did not die. I lived to tell the tale. Stephanie and I caught our train, and we made it on the way home. I looked at my phone to see what was she posting, and there was like over 250 posts during the course of that day. Everything she had posted, but the last post she posted, and this was the best day of my whole life. Maybe kids aren't that bad after all.